Sam Altman's secret AI coup. The dark truth exposé. Have you ever wondered who's really pulling the strings behind the rise of artificial intelligence? While the world talks about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and the future of technology, there's one man at the center of it all, Sam Altman. He's praised as a visionary, called a genius by Silicon Valley insiders, and even compared to the Steve Jobs of AI. But behind the headlines and polished interviews, there's a darker story. A story of power, manipulation, secret deals, and a silent coup in the AI industry. Today, we're going to expose the dark truth about Sam Altman's secret takeover of artificial intelligence. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at him the same way again. Let's start with who Sam Altman really is. Born in Chicago, raised in St. Louis, he wasn't your typical kid. He learned to code before most of his classmates even had their first cell phone. He was obsessed with computers, with hacking, with building things. But unlike many young tech prodigies, Altman wasn't content with just writing code. He wanted power. He wanted influence. And, most importantly, he wanted to be in control of the future. Fast forward to his early 20s, Altman dropped out of Stanford to start a company called Looped, a location-based app that eventually failed. But failure didn't stop him. Instead, it opened the door to something much bigger. He joined Y Combinator, the most powerful startup accelerator in Silicon Valley, and quickly climbed the ranks to become its president. Suddenly, Sam Altman wasn't just another failed startup founder. He was in charge of shaping the next generation of billion-dollar companies. But Altman's real play wasn't just about startups. It was about artificial intelligence. Around 2015, he partnered with Elon Musk and a group of other tech billionaires to launch OpenAI. The promise was simple: to create AI that would be safe, transparent, and beneficial to humanity. They claimed it would be an open project, free from corporate greed and accessible to everyone. Sounds noble, right? But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Almost immediately, Altman began shifting OpenAI away from its original mission. What started as a nonprofit dedicated to open research quickly transformed into a secretive closed-door operation. The so-called Open in OpenAI became a joke. Instead of sharing their work with the world, they locked it down, hid it behind paywalls, and made deals with the biggest corporations. And who was leading this transformation? Sam Altman. Now, let's talk about the coup. In 2018 and 2019, there was growing tension inside OpenAI. Elon Musk, one of the original co-founders, wanted more control. He argued that OpenAI wasn't moving fast enough to compete with Google's DeepMind. But Altman had his own vision. He didn't want Musk in charge. He wanted to run the show himself. The conflict escalated, and eventually, Musk walked away. Altman had won. He had effectively staged a coup, pushing out the biggest name in tech so he could hold the reins alone. After that, things moved quickly. Altman announced OpenAI would no longer be just a nonprofit. Instead, he introduced something bizarre: a capped profit company. On the surface, it sounded good. Investors could make money, but not too much. In reality, it was a loophole. It's a clever way to attract billions in funding from companies like Microsoft while still claiming to be mission-driven. And it worked. Microsoft poured in billions, giving OpenAI not only money, but also the massive cloud infrastructure needed to scale ChatGPT to the world. But here's the real twist. By partnering so closely with Microsoft, Altman effectively gave away control of the most powerful AI technology on the planet to one of the biggest tech monopolies in history. Think about it. The company that promised to be open and transparent ended up being locked in a deal with a trillion-dollar corporation. And Altman was the mastermind behind it all. This wasn't just about building AI. It was about building an empire. And Altman wasn't shy about his ambitions. He's openly said that AI could be more powerful than nuclear weapons. He's warned about the risks, while at the same time accelerating development at breakneck speed. It's almost as if he wants to play both sides, the cautious prophet who warns us about danger, and the ambitious CEO who pushes the danger closer every single day. But here's where it gets even more unsettling. Behind the scenes, Altman has been meeting with world leaders, shaping regulations, and quietly influencing government policy. He's testified in front of the U.S. Senate, met with European officials, and even held private talks in places like Davos, while most people think of him as just a tech CEO. In reality, he's positioning himself as the global gatekeeper of artificial intelligence, and that should terrify us. Why? Because Sam Altman doesn't just control a company. He controls the flow of information, the technology that could replace millions of jobs, and the systems that could shape the future of entire nations. If AI is the next industrial revolution, then Altman isn't just a player. He's the one writing the rules of the game. And let's not forget what happened in November of 2023. Out of nowhere, OpenAI's board of directors suddenly fired Sam Altman, claiming he hadn't been consistently candid with them. For a moment, it looked like the coup had failed, that Altman's grip on power was finally broken. But what happened next was even more shocking. Within days, Altman was back in charge, the board was replaced. Microsoft tightened its grip, and Altman emerged stronger than ever. If that's not a coup, I don't know what is. So what does this all mean for the rest of us? It means that the future of AI isn't being guided by some neutral democratic process. It's being shaped by one man and the deals he makes behind closed doors. It means that the promises of openness and safety were nothing more than marketing. And it means that the so-called revolution of artificial intelligence is already controlled by a handful of billionaires. With Sam Altman at the center, some people see him as a hero. They say he's pushing technology forward, making the impossible possible, and opening the door to a better future. But others see him as a threat. A man who used idealistic promises to build a monopoly, who staged a silent coup to seize control, and who now sits at the top of one of the most powerful organizations on Earth. And here's the scary part. We're still at the very beginning of the AI revolution. If Sam Altman already has this much power today, imagine how much influence he'll have 5 years from now. When AI is integrated into every industry, every government, and every aspect of our daily lives, the coup is already complete. The only question left is, will anyone be able to stop him? So the next time you hear Sam Altman talk about safety, ethics, or protecting humanity, remember this story. Remember the secret deals, the staged coup, and the empire he's building. Because behind the smiling face and the polished speeches, there's a darker truth. And it's a truth we can't afford to ignore. This is the hidden story of Sam Altman's secret AI coup. And it's only the beginning.